are very excited to talk to you about something that we are very passionate about. And Dave's been with us for a while now and is such an instrumental role in what we do here leading our teams that I thought it'd be incredible to have him in this session as well. And we'd just like to talk to you about some practical sides of pastoring and leading, both on the pastoring and character and human side, and also on the musical discipleship side of kind of what we do and how we do it. So we're just going to run through a few things. And then at the end, if we have enough time, we might open it up for questions. So if there's anything that we didn't answer for you. Hi, Todd. Glad to see you, my guy. What a special guy. We'll do a little Q&A at the end. Sound good? All right, Lord, we love you. We thank you for the fact that you care and you lead so beautifully as a shepherd. And we thank you that we get to do that with our people, is shepherding and loving each other and being in a community. So I ask you for your wisdom right now in this session for Dave and I as we just communicate your heart to these people of how we just all love and lead better. In Jesus' name, amen.
Can I just say something?
You sure can.
Maybe it's just because John just preached in this room, but as you were praying, I was like, wow, I feel God. Even as Jenn just said it, just want to start this session off by saying God is a perfect father and he's a perfect leader of your team, and he knows how to lead your team better than you do, which is awesome. That's like the best news ever, because he wants to lead you in leading your team. And so even as we hit on these practicals, what Jenn and I and the rest of our department leadership people, the thing we're trying to do at the end of the day is just do the best we can and get God's heart for our people, because that's what is the best thing for them. God's, plan for them is the best thing for them, and it's much better than anything that we could come up with, So just wanted to put that encouragement to you and hopefully take some pressure off that it's not up to you to save these people. It's not up to you to, bring them to the end of the finish line of, what they want to do with their lives or whatever. That's the Lord's job. It's the Lord's job to bring, you musicians. It's the Lord's job to bolster your team with numbers and with, Does that make sense? I just wanted to start with that little caveat.
I love that, to take the pressure off. I think that's something, honestly, that if I could go back in time and tell myself, it would be that very thing. Because when you're building a team, when you're leading a team, it's also emotional and personal when people leave your team. It's hard to work towards something and then to have people choose for one reason or the next to do something different. And I think in the beginning of leading here, I held way too tightly to the dream of we would just grow and do this together and change the world and have 5,000 people on our team all just changing the world. And the Lord had to pry my hands off of that idea and go, actually, I'm going to bring people when you need them, and then I'm going to take them for one reason or the next. And I'll always bring you who you need, and I'll always remove who shouldn't be there. And I really believe that as a promise to every single team, that if we can be open-handed to people and also not take it personal when people leave. We obviously as leaders make mistakes, but sometimes people are just going to go and it's not going to have anything to do with how well you did. And so just take that pressure off. I love that you said that.
And sometimes that really is the best thing for them too. And so just trusting the Lord's leadership in that.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll say this too, to kind of dive into some of the practicals. You may just know Jenn as, the mother of Bethel Music, and you may just know me as the guy next to Jenn right now. But in this context, Jenn oversees our local worship teams. Great. So if you come to church here on a Sunday, there's going to be people leading and playing that are a part of our local worship community. We're about, 70, 80, something, people that kind of are in rotation throughout our, I think we have 5 services that we
Everyone right now
roster.
is like, I hate you. We have 4. Very cool that you have 70. We have.
And that's where I'm like, the Lord will bring who you need, And even I feel like we're in a season, just being transparent, where we've had a lot of people either move or, go do other things, where there's times where me and, basically it's Jenn, it's me, I'm the music director. Peter Mattis is our community pastor. Blake Citro is our worship director. He and Jenn kind of keep us all in line. And then Jared is our worship admin. And so there's times when we're doing the schedule where we're like, oh my God, like there's not enough people. Like, what are we going to do? And so even just to encourage you that like we are praying the same prayer of like, Lord, please, give us what we need in your timing. But yeah, that's just what I want to say is Jenn and Brian oversee our community. We have a Peter he's our pastor, so he helps onboard our new people. He kind of introduces them to, if they aren't super familiar, our values, our heart as a worship team. I kind of oversee our musicians, onboarding our musicians, helping develop them, give them the resources that they need, watch their sets, try to give them the best feedback that I can. And then Blake kind of helps oversee it all and keep us all together. And yeah, we're just going to talk about some of the ins and outs, some of the day-to-day. Should we just go through like a classic week at Bethel Church?
Let's do it.
All right, Sunday, 6:50 a.m.
So we meet every Monday, all the people that he just mentioned and all those roles. And, maybe for you or at your church, that's all one person. That used to be all two people. It used to be Brian and I, all those different roles. But as we grew and developed, we kind of were able to diversify kind of who did what. And so it's been beautiful to now have those different positions. And we can even expound on those if you have questions about that later, of what that looks like. But everyone kind of takes a different piece of the pie, so we're holding it all together. For a lot of years, it was actually Paul McClure and Brian and I, and then we've just actually grown our team as Paul went into a new season. But for a weekly thing, what we do is we have obviously a lot more conferences than most people, but we usually have some form of a conference almost every other week. And then we have our weekend services. And then what happens on Monday is Dave and myself and those other guys, and actually Jonathan Lee, who you'll see as the most MD for most of our sets over here on guitar. He will be with us as well whenever he's not on the road. But what we do practically is we talk through the weekend or the conference that we just had. How are people doing? How things went. We make sure that we have 1 or 2 point people in every single set, so we have a reference point or someone has watched the set back to know feedback. And we really are looking at everything we do two-parted. One, musically, for excellence and how do we grow people and disciple them. And also the other side is real life and character and marriages and children and everything that encompasses not just the human on the team, but their family as well. When you join my team, your family joins my team and your children, and I know their names. And, we really have that as a core value of our house. But so we just do a little run through.
Yeah, we usually just start with, it's an hour meeting, and sometimes it doesn't feel like enough. But we just kind of start going through each service, because basically the way that we structure our services is we have 3 teams every weekend that are not necessarily the same from weekend to weekend. So we have a roster of people that we are kind of populating the schedule every month by month. And so we have our AM services here at College View, and then we have an AM and afternoon service. So those are 2 teams, and then our PM service is its own team. So we kind of just go through each of those teams, and we usually just talk about the wins, like, man, this moment was awesome. This guy on drums, like, he just really, like, it felt like he was just on something today, like, whatever. So we're kind of just, we're trying to, my friend Hannah Waters calls it glory gossip. We try to just glory gossip about people a little bit. And then Jenn has really, this is a great value of Jenn's that you should just steal for your own, is if we say something awesome about someone, then we text them or we call them or we voicemail with them. So we try to take note of all these glory gossips. And then after the meeting's over, it's like, hey, let's make sure we get this out to people. Because something we want to be aware of as leaders is we think all the good things about our team, and we kind of just assume that, like, oh, they know that too. Like, they know they crushed it, But then, when something bad happens, that's when we give them feedback. Or that's when it's like, hey, can we chat? And, like, the team member's just like, oh, God. And so we try to create a culture of feedback that isn't just negative or constructive feedback. It's you hear everything. You hear all the amazing things we think about you as well. So that way, when we give you constructive feedback and we're trying to build you, it doesn't feel like a massive blow to your identity or anything. So we kind of go through each of our teams and we talk about the musical elements, and we also talk about like what we felt like the Lord was doing. We're trying to, we're not just trying to grow our team's skill, but we want them to grow in God. We want them to grow in their anointing as leaders, because the way that they lead directly impacts our same church. Like, we're all in the same church, right? So we're all on the same team. We're fighting for the same thing. And so we usually, kind of debrief our weekend, and then we look to what's next. Usually we have a team night around the corner. We do monthly team nights. Jen, do you want to kind of talk about what an average team night looks like?
We didn't do it when we took over in the year 2000. We had rehearsals on a Thursday for the Sunday set, and that's how it was. And it was great, but we didn't really know each other. And so you had this, at the time when we took over, like 30 people on the team. We didn't really have any interaction. There was no community, no connection other than what we had, or if we'd been there for a long time, we had a bit more relationship with each other, But we started, I don't remember whose idea it was. I think it was mine, but I said, what if we just have everybody over? Like maybe once a month. Everyone can just come over to the house and we'll have food and just be together. And so we were spending more time together and growing in that community. And we actually changed, like I was saying in the earlier session, from the name worship team to the phrase worship community. And it was a really powerful change because it changed the posture of our hearts and how we interacted even. So what we do on these once a month night is the whole team. It's a required meeting. Oftentimes, you're working in a volunteer culture oftentimes. And just so you know, to play for church, which we do every Sunday, almost every other Sunday for us, because we're usually on the road one and then home one, we try to not miss more than two. But there are months where it's flexible and we just kind of all keep tabs with it, how we're doing. But we just had this heart of like, we got to be together and be connected. And so everybody comes over to our house once a month. And back in the day, we would all bring things to share to eat so we could eat together, because Brian and I couldn't afford to pay for like 100 people's food, And you just make it work. And our house wasn't big enough. We were coming out doors and windows, but it was sweet. It was special. And it was, Steph Gretz on the floor over here, with talking with somebody else, and like Jeremy Riddle coming the last second he could and leaving this first second he could. It was just like all the dynamics of all of it. Like Brian was saying, like some people could only do so much, but we really made it in a volunteer culture. We made it a mandatory thing to be on the team. You got to be on sets twice a month was our original thing, which now we're way more flex because our team's bigger. And we play for church, and we don't get paid to play for church. We haven't gotten paid, but we do pay our teams for conferences and anything else that they do on travel or anything else. And so obviously most of us have outside work that we're doing outside of just serving for the church. One day in the future, my dream is to have a Davidic tabernacle culture where we pay all of our musicians. So that's what I'm dreaming for, but I'm in someone else's house right now serving happily.
And the room will be gold, just gold plated everywhere.
I have a vision.
The cedars of Lebanon with 4 pillars. Yeah.
Angels, lot of
the team nights are so great, and because oftentimes, so for us, like I said, there's those 3 teams that are for every weekend. So if I'm playing one rotation or even a couple rotations a month, I may not see 2/3 of our team, And so even if that's not the case for you, even if you have a 4-person team and you guys are on every single weekend together.
Been there.
Yeah. You literally just you and Brian. You literally just let's have
Chris
night tonight.
Chris Kilala on the drums and me and Brian. We muscled through a lot.
But even if you're in we're all together every weekend, serving Sunday in and Sunday out. The value of meeting not around a ministry meeting, not in the church building, if maybe you can help it, and Jen's big priority is we have to eat together every month. And that sounds like, oh yeah, but it really does. It's like in Acts 2, it's like they broke bread together. Actually, Chris gave this amazing message last week. I'll just read the little in Acts 2, just because it really marked me. Chris Valentin gave a message, I think last week at Bethel, that was just awesome. So Acts 2, right? This is like the beginning of the church. Holy Spirit has just fallen on the people in the upper room. So in verse 42, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, the fellowship, the breaking of bread, and the prayers. Next verse, and awe came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles. And so our goal as as stewards of our team's hearts, right? Jesus' charge to Peter when he said, "Do you love me?" His charge was, "So feed my sheep," right? So if we are stewarding or tending to the flock of God, not just the congregation, but our own little flock up here, our flock of shepherds, we want them to be constantly in awe of Jesus. And so one of the ways we do that, the Lord told us in the scripture, is we break bread. We're committed to the apostles' teaching. We're committed to being on the front row in the worship section every Sunday. That's another value of Brian and Jen is if you're not playing, you're at church.
Amen.
If you are playing,
Amen.
you're at church. You're sitting in on the services. You're under the teaching of the word. So we're committed to the apostles' teaching. We're committed to fellowship. We're committed to the breaking of bread. Why? Because we want the awe of God on our whole team, right? So these team nights are so important, whether you have a team of 100 or you have a team of 5 or you have a team of 2, because we want to foster connection beyond just the doing and the serving, as beautiful as that is, because we don't want that to be the only context of church community. Because sometimes, how many of you grew up in the church? Oh yeah, big time. I'm a big Bible belter. I'm from Georgia, Bible Belt. And so I grew up in the church. So my entire context of church isn't just serving, but there's some people who's they get saved later on in life and they, they have a gift and they're bringing it to the house. And so they're playing, and we don't want their only experience of the people of God, of the community of God to be, you have to give in order to be here. Does that make sense? Obviously there's an aspect of we worship is a sacrifice. We become, Bill, another great message. Bill preached this past Sunday morning. It was insane. We bring a sacrifice of praise. We bring a sacrifice of thanksgiving. And then in worship, we become the sacrifice. Yes. He said that. I was like, I'm out. So there is a degree of sacrifice, but we also want people to remember that, before you gave anything, Christ gave it all, right? And so again, I'm harping on team night because team night is great. Wow, what else?
This is a very high value. So we honestly won't shut up about team night because it is a secret sauce of everything that we do, if I'm honest.
Okay, we eat together.
Yeah, go through.
We worship together.
The first hour, we actually hold aside and tell people you're going to show up at 6:30, and that whole first hour is for the sole purpose of actually hanging out and sitting at tables. And you get there and you sit, and we put a big emphasis on that of eating together and being together, which we need to shore up because our last team night we had a lot of. Okay, so just letting you in on some hot tea.
Jen has a great. She has a mental list of, I see that person walking.
It's called care.
Yeah, it's called care. It's called pastoral ministry.
And what we actually do is now, it used to be just Jen going oh, wow, that person wasn't at team night. And it can seem legalistic in the sense of we're trying to make sure everyone's just doing everything right. But that isn't the heart at all, because when they're not at team night, they miss where we go together as a group. And it's beautiful in the worship times. I mean, oh gosh, I'm going to get emotional, I'll cry. The team night that we just had on Thursday before this school, David and Hannah Waters led worship, and it was glorious, and it was so special. And we went somewhere together, those who showed up. And when they don't, they miss that, and that's why it's really important for me. And the other thing that we encourage for team nights is we invite the spouse. So if the husband's on the worship team, we invite the wife to come or vice versa, and it is a big sacrifice, but we have such a high value for the couple coming together and being a part of a community together. So it's not just the husband or wife on the team and the spouse home with the kids. We go together. We actually provide childcare for our team nights as well. The church provides that. So if you want to ask your pastor to help you out, a simple budget for food for a team night and some childcare will go a long way. So the first hour we eat together, and then the next hour, almost every single time we have a worship time together where a couple of our leaders will lead together, and a cello player, violin, something like that, just real simple, piano,
on acoustic. Jen's beautiful grand piano. We're blessed.
Very special. I wrote Holy Forever on it. Well, the chorus of it, I didn't do that much work. It was Brian and all of them, but I wrote a little something. Is it the best part? I don't know. Maybe pray about it, but...
It's the part everyone knows. And the angels cry.
We're doing it tonight. You'll be good. you want to hear a funny thing, you guys, because we're here and we love hot tea. So one of the lyrics of that song was Chris Tomlin, and they were like, sing the song of Moses to the Lamb. And I was like, but what if we changed it to not Moses? And
anything but Moses, please. I'm just
like,
kidding.
we love that.
You, Moses.
Yes, it's biblical, but like, what if we didn't talk about a human in the song of God? Anywho, that was for free. But we eat together, we worship together, and then we kind of feel out in our Monday meetings what we feel like that next portion of our night needs to be. So either someone will speak or we'll have a prayer time. We are praying for someone who's moving away almost every single team night, and we are inviting new people to come onto the team every single month. So it's definitely a flow, but we really just feel out kind of what needs to happen on that Monday meeting.
Yeah, and last year we actually kind of started experimenting with, like, we call that in shop talk, we call that like a standard team night. And so last year we started experimenting with a couple other versions of team night, just because we saw a need and we were hearing feedback from our team. Which, quick little side ramp is, trust goes both ways. Like, we not only do you want your team seeking to build trust with you, but the way that you invite that is by seeking to build trust with them. And feedback is the vehicle of trust. It's how you build trust as a team in a relationship. And so we were getting feedback about like, I want to feel more connected to our team. Like, once a month is great. Like, I'm not asking for more because I'm busy, but it's like, how, like, are there ways that we as leaders can kind of help foster that differently? So we did a separate meeting of like, let's brainstorm some ideas for team night. Like, how can we foster connection a little differently? So I'm saying all this to say that last year we started experimenting with, we have our standard team night, food, worship, maybe some teaching, some prayer, whatever. What if we tried doing some team nights? And this is literally what we're saying. Like, what if we may try it and it sucks, But what if we tried doing, like, okay, everyone comes for dinner, and as they filter in, we just break up into small groups. We don't even gather all together, but like 5 to 8 people eat dinner, and we'll provide, this was Peter's idea. He's our community pastor, like we said. It's like, maybe we'll provide some like questions. You don't have to talk about those questions, but it could be a good way to just get some convo flowing. Yeah. So we've had a couple of those the last year, and they've actually been really awesome, because people who wouldn't necessarily sit down together, like when we're all together, is, well, we just happen to come in at the same time. Let's go find a table, whatever. So that's kind of fostered a different level of connection, which has been awesome. And then one other like type of team night we've been trying to do a little bit more is we've been splitting up our singers and our musicians. So that way we can even, because another piece of feedback we were getting from our team is we have all these amazing times of worship. We hear all these amazing, sermons, whether on Sunday morning or, from one of our team, from Brian or Jenn. But I feel like I need a practical refresher. Like, I need to be reminded of what we're shooting for, like, practically. Like, I need to be reminded of what's a good set. Like, what's a good set, And so creating space, we, like, maybe twice a year, like once every 6 months or something, where I'll meet with all of our musicians and just talk about whatever it feels like needs to be talked about, whether it's practicals or, kind of value stuff of like, why do we show up prepared? Why do we show up on time? Well, that's why we honor other people. That's how we honor the Lord. That's how we, et cetera, whatever, filling in some of those blanks. Brian and Jenn, and Pete, maybe we'll meet with all of our leaders, and whether we talk about set lists or talk about leading a room or like that kind of stuff. So we've kind of started experimenting, and just to encourage you is get started with the basic. Like, let's just meet together. Let's eat together. Let's worship together outside of serving. But then let's have a finger on the pulse of our team. Like, what do they need to grow? What do they need to feel connected to us? What do they need to feel connected to each other? Yeah.
And on that note, 2 things, because I couldn't have said that better. Another thing that I have done, especially with our worship leaders, is especially if someone's newer to the team, but I just try to keep our worship leaders kind of on we call them, Jason, actually, one of our best friends, calls them my walk-in talks, because I love a multitask moment. And
Jenn will take you for 6 laps around her massive property.
Yes.
You'll be wheezing at the end, and she'll be like, one more?
Yeah. It's very on brand. And so we'll just say how, and the sole purpose of it is, we've done it, I do it with everybody, is how are you doing? Tell me about your life. What do you need? How do you feel? It's just this honest conversation moment that has really been beautiful over the years to just foster, especially an initial connection. And then we just kind of try to do it. We should do another walk and talk when the smoke clears. Otherwise, we're going to be on a treadmill. But it's just been a really helpful tool. And then the other thing, while you were saying that about being on time, because I think that's a really important thing that Brian has been incredible at, like on time is late. And so that's, he helps me. I love to push it. So I'm hardly ever late.
You were perfectly on time for this session.
Right. I really, thank you. Thank you for that. Because I try. But he is amazing and loves to be everywhere early. So it's beautiful. But Carrie Job, I'll tell you this because she would not mind me saying this because she's actually shared this at a worship school before, but Carrie Job Carnes, she said one time her old worship pastor ages ago, she was late for everything, she said. And her worship pastor, I love how he handled this because it is definitely something as a worship pastor that you deal with a lot is people being late, and it will make you nuts and you'll start to hate people. But this conversation changed her life. Her worship pastor sat her down and said, Carrie, I know this isn't your heart. Great way to start when you have negative feedback. I know this isn't something you're doing on purpose. I know this isn't your heart. However, you are consistently late. And again, I know this isn't your heart. We call it the fluff sandwich. But when you are late, it tells everyone in the room that's waiting for you that you're more important than all the people that are waiting for you. And I know that's not your heart, but this is something that happened. And she said it shook her to her core, and it changed her being on time from then on, from that. So I think that's an amazing thing to give your teams, is just that we love and we value, respect each other. We kind of do a thing where the musicians come a little bit earlier than the singers, because oftentimes the singers are just standing there doing their vocal warm-up. So we kind of have a little bit of that kind of flex. But I thought that was an incredible thing that Carrie shared.
And just having clarity on like when is, like if you have a time in planning center or whatever, is that when we show up or is that when we start? Just even little things like that. Like you'd be amazed of how many people think one way and then the other half think this way. And that's where the tension is coming from. And it just needed a little clarity. It's like, oh, this is actually when we're starting. So if you need 10 minutes to set up, you should just show up 10 minutes earlier, you know? So
how good is that? It's just so simple, but yet honestly a major pitfall.
We had to do that literally 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Like, so this isn't something that's like, oh yeah, we did that once. It's like anytime you're bringing new people onto the team, these are the things that as worship pastors, we think about every single day, you know? So it's like, again, it's like, oh, this is just normal. How did you not know this, you know? But when you bring someone new onto the team, like they're a baby, right? They're, you know, you have to immerse them in like how you do things, you know? And the hope is that your values are already so strongly carried by your team. And so if people are coming to your church, they're already receiving kind of the overflow of these core values. But sometimes people don't know what makes that all happen, you know? And so when they're first behind the curtain, they're just like, oh, I didn't know how to do, you know? And for us, it's all normal. So.
Absolutely. And on that note, we created a handbook, actually. So when you do join the team, instead of having to learn things as you go, you have something which we will give all of you access to. We always do as part of the school, to kind of know, hey, here's the core values of who we are and what we do. The team has done an amazing job putting that together.
We're actually teaching a breakout on that tomorrow, I think, at 1. Worship core values.
There you go.
So we'll go over the handbook.
Yes, go to that class too, because you'll get a lot more than just the handbook. But things over the years, I mean, simple things like even what we wear on stage, we're mindful of, and we actually have a guidebook by. Like I am not a big fan of anyone wearing like a psycho cheetah print on stage. Like I love that for you, but like you're gonna stand out, and you know, why would we all want to bring attention to ourselves? Like I'm not asking anybody to dumb themselves down, but at the same time, we want to be aware and be effortless. We want to be see-through so that Jesus is seen and not what we're wearing or what we're doing. And so it's just, again, just simple core values that we try to live by, that we've put in this book, which we'll make sure you get.
And I think something that we tried to think about as we were creating the handbook, because we had a handbook for a long time, and just this past year we kind of let's revisit this, because our team has changed, a lot of stuff has changed. Let's just go through and see what needs to stay, what needs to go, what needs to be reworded to fit what we're going after and who our team actually is now. So this past year, something we tried to think about is how do we, really own the things that we feel are important, but leave enough room for, because you guys, if you're pastors, every individual is so nuanced. This is something I'm very weak in. I'm very black and white. I'm like, this is the rule. You either do it or you don't. You know what I mean? But something I've learned from Jenn, I've learned from Peter, is, everyone's just on their own journey, and Paul even talks about this, right? It's like what is okay for me might not be okay for you. And that's okay, that's like the Lord already knows that, Yep. And so we try to, so just to encourage you, if you're creating standards or handbooks and stuff, like really own the stuff that you feel passionate about, but know that it's gonna, something's gonna come up where you can't just point at the handbook and go, this is how it is, And that's where we need the Holy Spirit. That's where we need him to guide us in every single conversation. And those are the conversations I'm still growing in, So I'm like, Pete, can you meet with this person?
We're all growing. Our team, including ourselves, we all walk through things. I've walked through these doors heading up to lead worship, and I had, not made a good choice on my way in here and wasn't doing good, and still, led worship through it. And we're all on a journey. You're not looking up to this stage to anyone who is anywhere close to perfect, but we do want to live clean and pure before the Lord and before each other. And so we don't allow nonsense on our team. And if you do make a mistake, we are going to get you help and counseling and healing, and often when to have someone take a break from the team with their life choices is, like Dave said, it really is a case-by-case scenario where we're praying over it. We're talking to our leadership on things that come up and things that happen, often even directly dealing with someone's attitude. Far too often in church worship teams, leaders put up with people because they don't have anybody else, that their character is not where it should be, their passion for the Lord, their biblical. If you read the Bible on what it took to be a priest, it's actually a special thing to be a leader, and there's requirements and there's things that we do and we don't do. And so, but oftentimes in church culture, they'll just take whoever they can get, oftentimes. And I just want you to be fired up and passionate about. I would rather have one guy with a guitar on this stage than 45 people who absolutely crush, who their lives are a mess. I'll take the one guy. And so don't ever feel the pressure that you need to build a big team or have a big sound. To orchestrate what you're seeing happen here is so many million hours. And this is insane. This isn't real life for what probably most of us are at and experiencing.
This isn't even real life for us on a Sunday. Just in case you were wondering, this is this is not even real life.
Absolutely. And to your point, I think that's something that's important. A temptation is let's use our best guys always and only our best guys for everything, and everything will always be locked. But that's actually not a great way to grow something. So yes, our team is always, except for when we do things like this or a Bethel Music event, when we're doing and growing on all of our campuses, it's a blend of some of our A team and some of our B team. Now, we're not calling them B team to diminish them. It's just where they're at in skill or character or on this journey.
Or even time on the team. I think one of the things I didn't realize I was learning this until I articulated it to a friend the other day because like I said, my role is trying to figure out how to develop people, which harder than it sounds. And one of the things I feel like is I'm looking for this Goldilocks zone is how much to put a newer person with amazing people, super strong musicians, but not too much that they feel defeated, or they feel like they can't measure up. Or on the other end of the spectrum, that I don't want them to feel like they're never being pushed or never being challenged, never being raised to, the higher standard. And so that's something we're always navigating too, is how to steward the strength of our team members, to help grow the other team members. And something I'll add to Jenn's point, this is another amazing fruit of team night, is you're able to bring people into the community, into the atmosphere of the culture that you're building as a team without putting them on the stage, right, which is so helpful to have an outlet like that, because it's like, hey, we've got Ed. I made that up. There's no one on our team named Ed, except for Edward. Yeah. Okay, not Ed. I'm just kidding. We've got Ned. Okay. Ned's an amazing guitar player. He, but maybe he's young in the Lord. He's still working some things out. But he has a heart to serve, but we don't like Dom was saying this morning, we don't want to rush past the season that the Lord has him in just because, we really need a guitar player right now, But Ned, you know what? We're having team night on Thursday night. Come be we want you involved in our community. Let's have coffee next week, whatever. So it's not like you have sin in your life, you can't be a part of what we're doing. That's not the heart of the church. That's not the heart of God, right? But to Jen's point, we do really care about who represents the Lord on this stage, And not in a pressure way of man, if I'm not perfect, that's not what we're saying. But we are saying when an unbeliever comes through these doors, they're looking all right, these people are going to tell me who Jesus is. Right? That's such a weighty responsibility that we as leaders who are in charge of putting people on this stage need to hold really carefully. Yes. You know what I mean? And not only do they represent the Lord, but they represent us. They represent Bill. I don't want to make Bill look bad, And so just another great fruit of team night is we can bring people into the community without rushing them into service, which is awesome.
And we feel the same way with our sound team. It's not just our worship team, And so I really believe that the Lord will bring you the right people if you hold the standard of what's needing to happen. And even musically, with growing people, we'll see people coming up. Sometimes they'll come up from little kids and we'll watch their whole lives and they'll just keep serving and growing. And, sometimes they'll come to school of ministry. And if you're in first year school of ministry, here, we let you just have the first year to just be with God. I had a girl come to school ministry who was incredible and wanting to be signed by all these labels and was doing all this stuff, and she's incredible. And she laid it all down just to come to school ministry. And I said, girl, you're going to go far. You're talented. You're so gifted. I said, you're going to go so far. But I said, when you get there, will you have something to sing about? Will you have something to say that God's taken you through, that you have something to stand on? And I watched her lay all that down and come to the school and dig in with God. And now to see the fruit of her life and to hear the difference in her. Because you can hear the power of their testimony or their authority in God. You can't make that up overnight. That's a beautiful journey. David killed lions and bears. David was doing a whole world. Jesus was doing a whole world of 33 years before ministry. I mean, that's incredible for you to have grace and understanding for yourself that you don't need to be thrown into something overnight. Now, on the flip side, it may be the Lord that you are thrown in. I was thrown into this as an 18-year-old. We took over this, they gave us worship here. And so it's less about age and more about the timing and development of God. But we would much rather let a process happen and really let someone learn and grow and practice in the private spaces, in the home groups, in the streamed services, etc., to really get their legs and grow in their authority and their gifting and their skill. We're not looking for perfection on this team, but excellence really matters. And it said David played skillfully before the Lord. And it wasn't that he was just amazing and could play anything. He actually knew how to play in the Spirit. It's very different than just playing and knowing all the chords and being incredible on your instrument. He actually knew what to play. So do you know your instrument so well that you can not only play the chords and get everything right that we're doing, but you can play the notes and the sound that you feel the Lord. And your ability is incredible because it's like a sharp sword that you have sharpened in your hours and years and years and years, so that when the wind of God blows through you, your gift doesn't stand in the way because you've put in the time and the excellence for the Lord to be able to use you. Yeah. Okay. Dave said we can open it up for a few minutes of questions.
Yeah, why not?
Matt,
Check 1, 2.
everybody, this is Matt. He's wonderful.
Hi.
We love him.
Wow, I didn't see you over there.
Hey, we'll go ahead and line up on me if you have a question. And just looking at the time, we only have time for a handful, and they're going to be short and tight.
Yeah,
Short and
run.
tight.
So
Run.
if you got a
3, 2, 1,
succinct question, come on down. What's
Just
your
line
name?
up behind her. Go ahead.
Hello, Emily. My name is Emily. Real quick, I have a big divide between my musicians and my singers. What would be your advice to that? And Jenn, you were speaking to this about being in that position where you're kind of doing everything. So how do you divide, like, what would be the task of the administrator, the worship pastor? because now I'm in a position where we're in a space where we can finally give up those positions and delegate, but now everyone does everything and we don't know how to put that in the right place, I guess.
Great. Okay, I'll answer one. I'll let Dave last into the second part, the who does what. I would say oftentimes in worship teams, big or small, they can get really cliquey really fast, or like the cool kids, and then like. But I think at the top, like something that we've valued and really try to breed in our team is no elitism, and that we're always like trying to reach out and connect and bring in. Again, eating together does that. It brings in and closes the divide between the musicians and the worship, the singers. Oftentimes it's just that simple community aspect of it. So, but roles.
Yeah, and also, and I'll really quick on that as well is instilling the value in your musicians that they are leaders as well. And you can do that a host of ways. I won't, try to name them all, but it's not, oh, I'm the worship leader and you're my band. It's like we are a worship team. We're lead worshipers, if you will. Even if you got to change some language, of what we call everyone, just instilling
And incorporating them into what you're doing.
Exactly.
So the guitar player, you'll see him, and when we go on tour, he'll put his guitar down and come over and pray and prophesy over people. So call on them and make them feel exactly like everybody else. Sound guys, everything, like that we're all in this together. Ask them to lead a devotion. Ask them to lead something on the spiritual side. Don't let them just be pigeonholed to just being a musician.
That's great. And then as far as roles, I would say honestly a good tool that I found is what's it called? Something Genius. Working Genius is like one of those like tested things, and you do it with your team and you see what their strength things are or whatever. That could be maybe a helpful way to like, oh, you're really great at execution. Let's give you the planning center login, you know what I mean? And so maybe delineating what are the tasks that need delegating and what are the strengths required for those tasks. And then,
Hi, my name is Echo. I have a question regarding that how you grow your, you mentioned something that you will grow your team. So my question is more about how you grow your team in a spiritually and also practically, like grow their craftsmanship. But more is like Bethel is a large team. So how you actually help every musician or worship leader, like grow in that spiritually intimacy with God. Thank you.
Go. I'll do pastoral, you do music, maybe. On the pastoral side, we have a pastoral team, something that we didn't really talk too much about, but wanted to. It's about 12 people that we have on our team. And so we have about 70 humans on our team and about 12 pastoral. So we divide all the people that are on our team up so that every single person has like a point person who is taking care of those people and mindful of them. Because Brian and I are just even our 40, we can't do that many people. It's overwhelming. But if we break it up, that everybody has their people that they are loving and caring for and keeping tabs on and how are you? So it really covers everybody. But musically, we're developing them as well.
Yeah. Musically, I'm looking for people who are awesome at what they do already and that carry the heart of the house and that carry humility and that so for me to be able to empower them, it's like, hey, can you go watch this drummer play and give him some feedback? I'm trying to delegate as well because it's like, man, you're not just a great drummer, but you're a leader and you carry what we're trying to do here. I'd love your thoughts on this guy. That even is a way to empower your musicians to feel like they're contributing beyond just the music. So yeah.
Great.
Awesome. We got two more short questions. Go ahead, Trey.
Well, just testifying 3 years ago, team night changed my team from coming to Bethel Worship School. So thank y'all.
Amazing.
I just wanted to ask you, how do you fight against the tier system that kind of can get created in worship world? Specifically, with us, that would be our youth ministry and our Sunday squad. I don't know for y'all if that's the collective or people that do Sundays. Yeah. How do you fight it? How do you create worship? Mothers and fathers, just whatever you have.
Yeah, it's a struggle. I'd love to have a polished answer of here's what you can do. Juggling it all and who leads when and how they do and making it fair, it doesn't exist. And I've had to really boil it down. We've had to, before the Lord, of God, highlight for us, even for who leads for the school and how many times they lead. It's something that we're literally sitting before the Lord and making schedules where we're asking God to show us who, when, where, and how, and to not play favorites. And I've watched, it makes me cry, I've watched people who didn't get picked for something and didn't get a place, and I've watched two things happen. sometimes they bail because they're over it and they're like, forget you. And I've watched people who have just stayed faithful through the crushing, through the pressing, through the I was forgotten, and the beauty that has been produced in them. Sometimes with people, it's just a matter of time. Sometimes there'll be people that I was like, you're crushing in character, you're the most faithful person on the team, and God will go, not yet. Don't add them yet. Don't put them on Bethel Music yet. Don't. And so I think as a leader, you have the gift and also the pain of God will lead you and guide you on who needs to do what. And you just got to love them through it and have the hard conversations of like, end of the day, I'm just doing my best, but you got to trust me. Hard.
Awesome. Last one.
You both talked about glory gossip and constructive criticism. What was the most impactful feedback that somebody gave to you?
Oh, wow. That's a whole session.
Ain't
oh, my
that a
gosh.
great question?
I'm so
You
thankful
guys
for
good
all
for
the
another hour? Yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe we'll just choose one. Also, the other thing we do in team night is we publicly brag on each other.
Yes.
Which we really love. And we'll also do something like a tag team. Like we'll brag on someone else and then they'll brag and it's like piggyback. It's really fun.
That really builds a lot of connection as well.
It really does. I would say that I've been corrected so many times in my life by leaders, and it's a long list, and I'm very thankful for it. The one that I would choose would be helpful. Do you have one that is on your hot list?
I mean, I may talk about this at another time, but I mean, the piece of correction that I got that shook me harder than anything else is my first year worship pastor. After my first sound check, she told me music isn't king, and that like rocked my world because I had been prioritizing something, I had been idolizing something, whether it was music or perfection or whatever. Like it struck a chord in me that I was like, man, like the order of my heart is wrong. You know, the Lord's not on the throne when he should be. And that just, whatever. That long story. But that's the first thing that came to my mind. So
I think one of the best pieces of worship criticism that I've gotten, again, I'm so thankful. It stings. It says that correction stings, and it does sting. But it's so good. We love it. We want correction. Say, I want correction. You don't mean it, but you do. You really do. You want to submit your life to people, leaders, friends, team. Dave knows that he can say absolutely anything about my whole life. Chris Greeley, give it up for Chris Greeley in the back. Chris, wave at everybody. This is Chris. And Chris is an incredible audio engineer and producer, but we ask him for his honest feedback, which he will happily give you, and it will hurt you. And so ask for feedback from your sound people. How can I learn? How can I grow? From your leaders. How can I grow? From your friends. Hey, will you know that you can always talk to me about anything and everything spiritually, emotionally, any of it? Welcome feedback in your life. You'll be less weird.
faithful are the wounds of a friend, Proverbs says. And the Lord disciplines those he loves, Proverbs also says. Yes. Great book. One last thing I'll say on feedback, and then maybe you should just pray, and we'll close out, is we try to praise publicly and criticize privately for the most part. We're not looking to shame anyone after a set in a debrief. We didn't talk too much about our debriefs, but our goal in a debrief, and what do I mean by that, is we just played, we all go back in that room, and everyone, like, especially if it was not super great, everyone's like walking on eggshells, like, hey, and the first thing out of a leader's mouth, like, can make or break someone in that moment. And so we want to be people who build up our team. Yes. Like, man, you guys did a great job. Like, I know that was kind of a rocky one, but I felt like we all stuck together. Yeah. We were following the leader, like da-da-da-da-da. And then we're not looking to go, hey, but when you did that, like, can you change that? For the most part, we're looking to praise in public or praise in the debrief, call out the gold, as we say here at Bethel. And then oftentimes, I'll, on my way home, I'm like, call someone or a voicemail like, hey, great job. Like, something I wonder if you could work on is when you do this, or like your tone like this sounded like this, and da-da-da. And you can get into the specifics, but we don't want to shame people, I don't know. I just thought that little nugget right there.
Yeah, very good. Oftentimes the best critique will happen maybe a week later. Just give it some time. You come off a set, you played, you did your best, but you're raw. It's a really emotional time.
That's so true.
Maybe just give it a little bit of time. Often if you have a next service coming after, you do need to probably speak to something that was a tripping block in the first set. But really, if it can wait, let it wait. And like Dave said, celebrate it.
And just the reality of nothing is riding on this one worship set, like going perfectly.
Right.
Like your team's going to be back next week. Like life is long. There's going to be a lot of worship sets to be played. But sometimes as a musician, it doesn't feel that way. It's like, that was everything and I'm done. So just encouraging your team that it's going to be all right. So anyway, pray.
And just 2 thoughts. Remember who it's about and remember who it's for, and did you do your best? Just encourage your team right there. Like, did you do your best? Remember who it's for, and if you made mistakes, we'll figure it out. We all do. All right, let's stand up. Stretch your legs. We're going to pray. Lord, we thank you for the gift of leadership. And I just pray right now, I actually just impart to this room the gift of leadership that we've been handed here, the wisdom. Lord, I just pray right now that you would impart that to these incredible people of how to love people well and lead them well, Lord, that you would show them exactly what to do for their team and their people and their church. I pray for worship leaders and team members and the connection to the pastor, Lord, that you would just bring those together, that there would be meals with pastors and worship leaders together, Lord, and that you would just really give us a flow of how to steward your people through the whole service instead of just worship team versus preaching, that we would just flow together as an entire service for your glory and connected, Lord. So we love you. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, we love you.